Nate the Great and the Hungry Book Club, Chapter 1 Torn, Ripped, Ruined. My name is Nate the Great. I'm a detective. My dog Plus is a detective too. Ouch! Right now I am a mumbling, tripping detective. I have just tripped over a big pile of books that Rosamond left in my house. Sludge is sniffing them. He has been sniffing them since Rosamond knocked on my door this morning. She was carrying a bunch of books. Three more were piled on her head. Rosamond looked very strange. Rosamond looks strange all the time. I have a great news, she said. I have started a book club. I'm calling it Rosamond's Ready Readers. But there is a trouble in the club. One of the members is trying to wreck my cookbook. Look. Rosamond took a book off her head. The other two books fell down. Why are you carrying books on top of your head? I asked. Because I'm president of a club now. These books help me hold my head high and look like a president. I, Nate the Great, knew that I was looking at a very strange president. This is my new cookbook, she said. Yesterday I left it open on my kitchen table after I made treats for the club meeting. When the meeting was over, I went to get the treats for the members. The page that was open was torn, ripped, ruined. Sludge and I looked at the page, and Nate agreed to say that it was torn, ripped, ruined. Chapter 2 The Crime Scene. Rosamond pulled something out of her pocket. Here is a photo of crime scene, she said. I looked at the photo. Your kitchen was a crime scene? Of course. Kept this photo and studied it. You can see that my cookbook is in the middle of my huge high table. The torn page had a recipe for the tuna fish pie. The bits of pie that fell on the page are gone too. I want you to find the evil monster who did this. Monster? Yes, the evil page monster, Rosamond said. Now here is my plan. The next meeting will be at my house this afternoon. You and Sludge can come undercover. Just pretend you are a new members. I'll be using this cookbook again. Meanwhile, I'll leave these other books here where they'll be safe. I left one book at home. The members will be reading it at today's meeting. Rosamond piled her books on my floor. You are so lucky to have this case. I, Nate the Great, did not agree. Perhaps this is a case for a bookworm, I said. Enjoy being a bookworm, Rosamond said. I looked at Sludge. We both knew that if I didn't take the case, Rosamond would come back and back and back and back. Chapter 3 A Bookcase. I wrote a note to my mother. Dear Mother, Sludge and I are going to Rosamond's house. I am on what Rosamond thinks is a bookcase. We are looking for an evil monster who treats and I will be back. I hope. Love, Nate the Great. Chapter 4 The Hungry Book Club. It was afternoon. Sludge and I went to Rosamond's house. She answered the door. She had only one book on her head. I peered inside her house. I saw Oliver, Pip, Finley, Cloud, Esmeralda, Annie, and Annie's little brother, Harry, sitting in a circle. Also sitting in a circle were Annie's dog, Fang, and Rosamond's 4 cats. Plain hacks, little hacks, big hacks, and super hacks. I stepped back. Then Hackstar Fang belong to your book club? Sure, Rosamond said. Everybody loves the stories and treats. I served tuna fish pie to the cats and meat patties to Fang. Everybody else get cookies. This is very hungry book club. Come in. I, Nate the Great, am not in the mood for cookies or circles, I said. Sludge and I will sit in a corner. Chapter 5 Meet Harvard Hedgehog. Rosamond sat down in a book chair. She took the book off her head. She held it up. This is our book for today, she announced. Harvard Hedgehog. We will take turns reading it out loud, then we will talk about the book. I will start. Harvard Hedgehog was always late. He arrived at parties just in time to bump into everyone leaving. He nibbled leftover cake crumbs and lapped melted ice cream. Then he sat in a corner and exclaimed, "Wonderful party," to the empty room. I Neil deGrasse was sitting in a corner. I like Harvard Hedgehog. I pretended to go to sleep, but I was watching. The book went from member to member. Nobody was tearing pages. It was Esmeralda's turn to read. When Harvard went to the movies, he always got there when the movies was over. As everyone was going out, Harvard was going in. He would sit down on the stale popcorn and look up at the big empty screen. "Great show," he exclaimed to no one. Harvard meant to be on time, but he never was. Suddenly, Esmeralda stopped reading. She looked puzzled. "A page is missing," she said. Rosamond looked straight at me. A ripped page in one book and now a missing page from another. When I bought this book, there were no pages missing. I know because I read the entire book before I bought it. I Neil deGrasse looked at Sludge. I now knew we had a rare case. Chapter 6, Double Trouble. Rosamond raised her arms. "As president of Rosamond's Ready Readers, I will not let this stop our book club meeting. Members who would like to tell me what you think of the book so far." Esmeralda raised her hand. "At first, I thought that Harvard needed a watch, but now I know he needs a page." Cloud raised his hand. Cloud was always losing things. "I don't like the book because Harvard doesn't lose anything," he said. "If you never lose anything, you never have a chance to find what you didn't lose." "Excellent thought," Rosamond said. Oliver spoke up. "I follow people. Everyone knows I do. Harvard doesn't follow anybody. Harvard is a very boring hedgehog." "Thank you for sharing that with us," Rosamond said. Me. Harry was jumping up and down. "I like the book. I like the picture of Harvard smiling in front of the big clock, the vest." Rosamond smiled. "Well, we have a nice happy Harvard and happy Harry," she said. "I'm proud of all my members, except whoever ripped a page and took a page." I Neil deGrasse was thinking, who would rip a page of cookbook and take a page of Harvard Hedgehog? Someone who liked the books, or someone who disliked the books, or someone who couldn't decide. And where was the missing page? "I'd like to see the book," I said. Rosamond handed it to me. "I see that a missing page would have been numbered 15 on one side and 16 on the other," I said. "Numbers crumbers," Rosamond said. "You have a double mystery. Just to solve it." Chapter 7, The Evil Page Monster. Rosamond stood up. "Now it's time for a treat," she said. "The animals are getting restless." Sludge and I followed Rosamond to the kitchen. It was a mess, but Sludge sniffed and sniffed. He liked this case because it smelled good. I saw a cookbook on the table. This time, the book was open and a recipe for meat patties. There were bits of meat on the page. Rosamond must have been using the cookbook today to make her treats. This page had no rips. Fang and the Hexes walked in. Fang sniffed the table. He started to jump up and reach for the cookbook. Stop! Rosamund yelled. You Fang are the evil page monster. I, President Rosamund, have solved this case. Fang must have sneaked in during yesterday's meeting, eaten the bits of food, and ripped the page. And now I've been stopped him from doing it again. Rosamund folded her arms and looked at me. Time to find the missing page, she said. I need to grade had two choices. I could search for the missing page, or I could go home and eat pancakes and think. Chapter 8 Sniffs. I ate my pancakes while Sludge ate a bone. The Sludge walked around the room. He was looking for something and he found it. It was the photo Rosamund had left here. He sniffed and sniffed it. Was it trying to tell me something? Was the ripped page case really solved? Did Fang really do it? I looked at the photo again. The page in the cookbook had no food on it. The page I had seen at Rosamund's house had tiny bits of meat on it. The recipe in the photos was for tuna fish pie. The recipe at her house was for meat patties. One recipe for cats, one recipe for dogs. Good work, Sludge, I said. Chapter 9 Not so fast. I called Rosamund. I'm coming back to your house, I said, and I need Annie and Fang to be there. I put the photo of the tuna fish pie page in my pocket. Sludge and I rushed to Rosamund's house. Rosamund was waiting for us at the door. You ripped page case is not solved, I said. That Fang did it, Rosamund said. And here he comes down the street with Annie. We must all go into the kitchen, I said. Rosamund, Annie, Fang, Sludge, and I went into the kitchen. The cookbook was still open on the table. Fang sniffed and ran to the table. Rosamund said. We already know that Fang ripped a page yesterday. Wait, I said. Fang jumped up and put his front paws on the table. He opened his jaws. He stretched, but he couldn't reach the cookbook. This table is too high and big for Fang, I said. Poor Fang, Annie said. He's big and smart, but he isn't that stretch. I Nature Grade already knew that. Fang would have grabbed up bits of meat during the meeting if he could have reached them. Rosamund sighed. Okay, so Fang couldn't have ripped the page yesterday. Correct, I said. Also, he doesn't like tuna fish pie. He pulled the cookbook photo out of my pocket. This photo shows the cookbook open to a tuna fish pie recipe.